Kirsty TV. My K expert today is Therese Gibson, who I did an interview with, and since she had so much to say and she's such an expert on her topic, I decided that we would chat to her a little bit further about her work as a family nurse practitioner in palliative care with people who have a life-ending diagnosis. So great to have you here and to continue the conversation.
Thank you.
So much of it becomes about ourselves, the people who are around.
Exactly.
And what we're going to miss. And
exactly.
we're going to grieve. And even after somebody passes, you know, I was dealing with somebody recently who'd lost her son 4 years ago. She is in such heartache and such grief that really it's all about her rather than the person.
Yeah.
So how do you see those two distinct roles around the person who's gone or going?
It's really tricky because grieving is a natural process. When you die, your body reaches a state of disease burden or physiological burden that it can't support or compensate anymore. And so things start shutting down. That is a natural, normal part of a body's process when they're at the end of life. It's not anything that a doctor did or they did. It's when your time is up, that starts happening. With a family member, when they start grieving, the tears at first generate a sense of how much they love that person. And they always transition into, at that moment, how beautiful the person is, no matter what their life is. They automatically go into that person was loving, always had a smile, lit up the room. He was a good father, even if he wasn't. There are always that divinity in every soul, in every human being. You have to be careful with grief because it's insidious. And if you don't, after the tears, don't shift it into a joyful grieving, you can go down that slippery slope, and it's very dark.
And so how do we do that? If we're at that point where we're grieving, how do you think, from what you've seen people do, they go one or two of those ways?
Well, I think it all depends on the family dynamics. It really does. It all depends on the family dynamics and also their strength and their realistic approach to life. Typically, I found that people that came from very dysfunctional and abusive homes tend to have more trouble letting them go because they never got to a place of understanding. They never got to a place of feeling a pure connection, that they were loved by that person or that person accepted their love. So they kind of hang on. They tend to be, this is a very general statement, but they tend to be the people that want everything done to their loved one. You know, feeding tubes and tubes everywhere and tests everywhere to hang on to them because they're not done processing and they're not done getting to that point of love. People that have a very loving relationship basically come down to a very simple point. I love that person. I don't want them to suffer. Let them go. It's an interesting
phenomenon. More ready with them.
They're more ready because they're full. Their heart's full.
Which again comes back to that point that sometimes death, it can be more about us and the people left behind.
Exactly.
So with people who, I mean, a lot of people have unfinished business, relationships in their life where they don't feel like they've had closure, or to that other extreme where they have been abused or been through traumatic things with their parents. How do they get closure? What do you think that they need to be doing?
What we tell them is, if they're in our unit, to say anything you need to say to them, because hearing's the last thing to go. And
really?
Yeah, that even if they're unconscious, they can hear. And say what you need to say. Eat quietly or whisper in their ear. There's lots of times that they have alone time with their loved one. Because oftentimes, end of life, most of the time you're treating the families, 60% of the care, and 40% you're treating the patient. Because the patient's path is already set.
So if you feel that the family's not ready, then you might
treat them.
The life.
We hook up a little bit of IV fluid. Oh, they need water. They need, fluids. We do a little bit of water. We do, if they want a feeding tube.
So I guess the lesson for others would be, if you really love your loved one, then be more prepared and ready to help let them go.
Well, yeah. I mean, that would be the ideal, but every situation is so different that it's a process.
Yeah.
People have to have their own process, and maybe that family will never be there.
Yeah.
So you have to accept it, even if they're not ready and they're just hanging on for dear life. That's okay. That's the thing with palliative medicine. There's no right or wrong. There's no ethical or unethical. It is whatever it's going to be where it plays out. The patient is going to die with whoever the divine invitation, was sent out, and whoever accepted it, that's who's going to be there when they die. A whole family can be there for hours, days, weeks. And the minute everyone goes out in the hallway for a consultation, the patient dies.
So if you had 1 minute and you were on Earth and you could only leave one message with people on this planet, what would you be telling them?
I would have to say, because of so many miracles that I saw through acceptance and loving, because who cares what anyone does? It's none of our business. We don't know why they did it. It's just not our business. They have their own struggles. Just love and accept. And accept their disease process. Don't be afraid of it.
Well, I think that you've just shared some amazing lessons. Thank you so much for
welcome.
being here today. I just hope that for all of you watching, if you yourself are going through a life-ending diagnosis and a transition, that you can understand that it can be a beautiful, natural part of life. Or if it's your family and your loved ones, that you understand how important the energy you bring into that room is, how important it is to let everything go and just be there in a space of love and acceptance and make it beautiful, not just for them, but for you. And I hope that we can all say at the end that their death was a beautiful experience. So thank you for watching Kirsty TV. Don't forget to tweet us, to post us, to subscribe on YouTube or comment on Facebook. We love hearing from you, and we'll see you next time on Kirsty TV.